One of the things that Kwame Nkrumah teaches us in his book Conscientism is the concept of philosophical conscientism. And one thing about philosophical conscientism is it is a philosophy that Africa, in being unified as far as religions go, I'm just speaking on religions and spiritual ideas, but Africa has Yoruba, has Comedics, it has many traditional African religions, and then it also has Christianity and Islam. And so in this, I can tell you right now, and I'm for certain that everybody is not going to be one religion in this world ever. And that's one thing. Everybody is not going to see God the exact same way, and I don't think they should. Anybody who really has a complete understanding of spiritual philosophy knows that God, the concept of the creator or a being above us or a spiritual entity or what have you, is an immense concept. And when you put together different, like, even within the Christian religion, you have people who say you should be baptized. Then you say people who you should be saved. Baptists focus on the certain cleansing process. Missionary Baptists focus on a certain the mission aspect, the aspect of bringing the word to other people. So just saying, each is focusing on a certain aspect, so you're only getting a portion of the creator. As a philosophical scientist, we understand that our people need to get along within the same country regardless of what religious philosophy you may have, be it a group or as an individual. And that's where philosophical conscientism comes in, of understanding, seek ye first the political kingdom, that we must control our own government, we must control our own land and resources as a people, regardless of what religion you are. And then of course these religions can function in a society harmoniously, obviously. But again, racism is a reactionary process. We are more proactive. We are Pan-Africanists. We say we are African, period. And the reason we want to clarify having the identity, we want our ideology, we want our thoughts to be as an African, so we know that our actions will be as an African. So again, we take revolution over reaction. Again, one of the things that a lot of people in America trip off of, I guess, is being called an African. Some still, some people call themselves African American. Then of course you had the reactionary people come and say, well, I'm still just an American. But a lot of people embrace the fact that they were an African American, because for many years you call yourself black, you call yourself Negro, you call yourself Negro American, Black American, Afro American, and I think that just goes to show the identity aspect we have. But you can also see that as far as how slavery goes. How slavery has changed, how it changed our people. I mean, you don't even know who you are. Colonialism, even to the point of, somebody comes along and makes a map and calls it what they want to call it. In 1884, there was the Berlin Conference. The European nations sat down around a table basically and said, we're going to divide Africa up. You taking this portion, you taking this portion. And they also decided to, the countries that you see in Africa were divided up in 1884 by some Europeans, and Africa was nowhere present. So that's why sometimes you have these different warring factions, and we're not going to get into all the dynamics of the politics of how different groups were exploited. But because you can obviously see, you give one group the resources, they oppress the other group. Because these groups, one thing about Africans, we believe in harmony, obviously. If I don't like you, I'm going to be over here. And, you over there. And it's just that simple. But if someone comes along and decides that Now we can't freely, I'm going to set up these borderlines, and you can't freely travel how you want to freely travel. Not to mention, half your people on this side, and half of them on this side, and then, you done mixed up people who didn't necessarily get along, and then began to exploit them. That 1884, the Berlin Conference, is when Africa was divided up into the nation states that you see today. And that's one of the reasons when Kwame Nkrumah, Secretary Ray, Jomo Kenyatta, Walimu Nyeri, different leaders got together, is one of the reasons that they said we're going to unify, because they knew that these people had came along and separated the continent in ways that we didn't necessarily agree with or even had a choice in the matter. But we're still dealing with some of that today. But as far as the diaspora goes, we know that we are African. You can look at yourself and say, and know that those people look like you and this and that. One of the things that is wild is that a lot of Africans try to say, well, I've been here in America so long, and then I got white people in me and Indian in me. and it's wild that we know that how dominant the African gene is in a person. Besides going into biology, we just know that one of the things that happen, like when someone lives in West Africa, they may have grew up Igbo, and they were around their Igbo people. They're Igbo, okay? Now me, I'm probably Igbo, Yoruba. I got a bunch of different West African people up in me from, us being, when they brought us over here during slavery, we was all mixed, So I'm pretty sure spiritually as well as biologically, I have all types of Africans. So in a sense, I may have be more African than so that's an interesting tidbit. I like how Malcolm X put it though. He said you can put kittens in an oven, but that does not make them biscuits. And you can put kittens in the oven, that does not make them biscuits. And I can agree. You can bring we've been in this country since the 1400s. Well, say in a slave capacity, in a capacity of capture, in capacity of captures from a war, POWs. We've been in this country since just like the 15 to 1600s. You know what I'm saying? It's 2000 now, so just saying we've been over here for like 1600s, 400, 500 years. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we've been on this earth for no less than, I'm saying, I'm going to be liberal and say 10,000 years, but just saying 500 years you've been in one place, being one thing, and then 9,500 years, what I'm saying, you've been an African. And you think that this 500 years trumps 9,500 years. And I say,